On April 28, 1991, Larry King did his first special on TNT. And he told reporter Martin Zadd the following: Larry King will be played in this clip by me, by Ken Dixon.
So, the big difference between these interviews is the pace. It's going to be much more relaxed, on location than in the studio. In the studio, it's more grilling than conversation. I think the audience is going to get more. The more insightful the question, the better the answer. The viewer is really going to get to know these people and what makes them tick. The way I interview, I have to listen to answers because I don't prepare any questions.
Jesus freaking Christ. Because I don't prepare any questions.
Well, I don't prepare any questions. The answer will lead to the next question. When I interview someone, I'd rather not know them. The better I know someone, the harder it is to interview them. Because I don't like to ask questions I already know the answers to.
Now that I agree with. My conversations, the best ones, have been with people I've never met before. So maybe I've been a little harsh on Mr. King about not preparing for interviews. Sometimes it's so glaringly obvious he knows nothing, not even base enough to ask anything beyond,
oh, what was it like growing up? Did you get beat up in high school? I did.
So from that April 28, 1991 TNT, what was it called? Larry King TNT Extra. This is James Woods, and he has a pretty good interview. You get to know the guy. You get to know and what makes him tick. Because he doesn't talk much in the other interviews. That James Woods, he is so restrained. You got to pull information out of him. That's why you need the king of interviewers, Larry King, to get James Woods to talk.
A tendency to form impressions about the people we see on the screen based on their performances and especially on the characters they play. Now think about James Woods. What comes to mind? Powerful, intense, obsessive. Some would even say maniacal. Maybe just plain nuts.
After all I've done to you, and you dare steal from me?
In 1979, James Woods exploded across the screen in The Onion Field with a riveting portrayal of a sociopathic killer.
They kill people here, Boyle.
You believe everything you read in the papers? Come on, man. You're going to love it here. Give it a try.
7 years and 10 mostly supporting roles later, Oliver Stone cast Woods as the freewheeling freelance journalist in Salvador. A performance that earned him an Academy Award nomination for Best Actor. There's no doubt about it. When we think about James Woods, we expect volatile, hardcore, flat out. A very heavy hitter.
Get in the hole, you dog. Why, there must have been a stone just in front of the hole or something.
What we don't necessarily associate with James Woods is the serenity of a Los Angeles country club and a leisurely round of golf. Even more surprising, finding James Woods in a comedy with Michael J. Fox.
Coincidence, right?
In The Hard Way, Woods plays a tongue-in-cheek send-up of all the super serious, ultra-intense characters he's known for.
Yeah, look, I can explain.
You don't have to explain, all right? First of all, you bust up our date at the pizza parlor. Next thing I know, you're having lunch with my girlfriend.
Oh, from what I can see, he's probably a better cop.
Oh.
Well, you were probably off thrashing it at the pizza parlor.
I'm going to say something that you're going to think is odd. I think I've been miscast most of my life because people say, boy, you get to play some of these really intense characters and, you know, these villainous roles and so on. And it came about because my first real big break was a movie called The Onion Field, where I got to play this ultimate sociopath, cop killer, really genuinely disturbed person. And those characters are very enriched characters. I mean, as people, of course, they're loathsome, but as a character, it's a great challenge because they think differently than we do, so you have to think about how they think. Well, it got me set in a bit of a niche in the minds of the people who kind of the business people who run this business. And for a long time, I was playing sort of tough guys. I mean, here was a kid who was like, I was like an altar boy. I had a paper route when I was a kid. You know, I went to MIT. And here I am running around playing like these, you know, sociopathic killers and so on because I played one well. In fact, comedy and sort of family stories and so on really are much more my cup of tea, believe it or not.
Do you think all good actors, one of the basics of it is intelligence?
In my experience, the absolute best ones. I mean, De Niro is a brilliant man. Meryl Streep is one of the most brilliant people I've ever met. I mean, she's bright and she's witty and truly intelligent, well-read and so on. And I think acting is not such a great mystery. I think you have to have, first and foremost, a sense of observation. And couple with that, a true love of humanity. I mean, to be fascinated by people. And then finally, just being simply intelligent about it.
To touch some other bases. Was Bette Davis your favorite?
Bette Davis was just the greatest actor that ever lived.
Why?
She never, ever would say anything that she didn't mean, or mean anything that she wouldn't say.
Correct.
And anybody who has that kind of moral fiber, absolute unidimensional moral superstructure to their whole way of dealing with life, you can trust them implicitly. And if you can trust a person in life, you can trust them on the screen. And that's what it's about.
What for you was the most difficult role?
Wow. The most difficult role was probably The Boost, because the characters, which was a movie about cocaine addiction, the characters, Sean Young's character and myself, both starred as really two people who really love each other, and both of whom have a kind of hole in their souls. And they go from this tenuous kind of fragile peace that comes from their true love for each other, and they just descend into this spiral of hell when they get involved in cocaine.
I'm not going to live like this. I don't care if Joel is rich and I'm poor. It doesn't matter that everybody else has money. I'd rather be a field hand than live in this cesspool.
We can always be undone. We can always be assassinated from behind by our own fears and anxieties and so on. And that's what that movie was about. And I think both of us playing the role also, Sean is a very sweet person. People probably be surprised to hear me say this, but I actually like her very much. And I think she's really beautiful and a truly talented actress. And she was really wonderful in that role and great to work with. I mean, she had a vulnerability and a sensitivity that was just so palpable on screen.
You mentioned her and other thing. Why do you think, or maybe it's not more so, maybe the banker in Des Moines has the same problem. Why are relationships so difficult in and around this business?
I don't know if it's more likely here, but I've certainly heard enough horror stories and, you know, experienced enough of them myself, you know, that you know, I'm a little hesitant to trust it. To be honest with you, I would find it a great relief to come home after the intense experience of being in front of the camera and giving so much, and come home to someone that I truly cherish, and just closing the door and putting a fire in the fireplace and asking how her day was, and telling her about my day, and just sharing some of the... See, I think... I had a friend who believed that the quality of life was measured really in, I mean, to paraphrase very wildly T.S. Eliot, I mean, sort of measured in coffee spoons. That, you know, that it's not the trip to Hawaii that keeps a marriage together, but it's really, finally, just talking about small things and cherishing really the small things and doing it on a consistent basis. I think, finally, the greatest trick to a sustained relationship is to afford the same courtesy on an ongoing and continual and perpetual basis to your partner that you afford the gas station attendant or the bank teller. And we forget to do that.
Are you a perfectionist? Was that a term you'd use in the...
Am I a perfectionist?
You are.
I'm very fastidious about all the details. I mean, one of the first movies I ever did was an Army picture. And, you know, it's like a low-budget picture, and, you know, they're shooting it, and they're shooting me. And I looked, and way in the background, there was a guy who had one of his bars was off or something, and so on. I said, oh, hold on. I went over and I fixed it. And they said, what does that got to do with you? It's not even your, some other guy's character. I said, he's in the same frame with me.
Quinn would do that.
Oh, yeah, you've got to have it.
But you live a crazy life when you do that, though, don't you?
No.
You don't?
You don't. No, you lead a wonderful life. When you are professionally disciplined, when you do yeoman-like work, it has a chance of being good. If you strive for the moon, maybe you'll get over the fence, you know, and that's how I've lived my whole life. And I think look, I'm not a good-looking guy. I'm not rich. I had no connections. You know, I came from Warwick, Rhode Island, and I've climbed to the top of the pyramid in this business.
Are you a star?
Well, yes, Larry, I am.
No, I mean, are you a star? Do you consider yourself a star?
Let's put it this way, okay? I just like to think of myself as a simple working actor unless I'm negotiating a contract, and then I like to think of myself as a really big star that they should pay a lot of money to.
But when you're by yourself?
When I'm by myself, I really cannot think of myself as a star because it's so self-destructive to think of yourself that way. If you start thinking of yourself as a star, you're going to lose everything that got you here in the first place. Because my job description is he's the guy who observes people and brings them to life and puts them on the screen so the fat lady in the fourth row in the dark theater can look up and say, my God, I thought only I felt that. And for a moment can be joined with you in heart and soul. And that's a great job description to have.
And at this point in you're what, 43?
43.
Are you in relative terms?
Yes, darling.
Are you happy today?
Yes, I'm. Yesterday I was out at Sandpiper golf course. Get up to the first tee, and you always think, oh, God, just let me get off the tee. And I hit the ball, and it goes out like the best shot I've ever made. It's par 5. Hit the second shot. Third lands on the green. 2-putt. I'm in for a par. I'm with 3 great guys. My girlfriend's back at the San Ysidro Ranch with a little fire in the fireplace waiting for me. I've got this great movie coming out. I'm going to be doing the interview with you, the next morning today. My brother just had his first son, which he was thrilled with, named after our father. Peyton James Woods, his name is. My parents are healthy. It's a beautiful day. I've just parred the hole, and I turned around and I said, could life ever, ever be better than this? And the answer was no, it couldn't.
Next, my conversation with Barbara Hershey. And then, basketball superstar David Robinson, and still to come, Academy Award-winning actor Jeremy Irons.
Thank you for watching Cleveland Live Music. If you like what you see, hit the subscribe button. There's further patronage information in the video descriptions below. Thanks for all the support and making the channel grow.